DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
All right, we are back for show number 2 here on our lovely Wednesday night, and we are going to be talking social media with Jared Wade. Good evening, Jared.
Good. I almost said good morning. My sleep schedule is out of whack. We're DJs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is morning time for us.
Weekday could be 9 o'clock. And back when I was a club DJ, yeah, until we had children.
PM. Well, that's very true.
And that changed the world. But otherwise, it's like, yeah, we used to sleep until 1, 2, 3 o'clock, and then wow.
I'll see. I'm sorry. Do you know this guy named Jim Cerrone?
Yes.
Okay. I always say that joke whenever I talk about Jim Cerrone because everybody knows Jim Cerrone. Mm-hmm. He's from Indianapolis here locally where I'm at. And I will be up at like 2 o'clock in the morning working on some random thing, updating my website or trying to figure out some new weird social media outlet and decide if I want to use it or try to use Trello for the umpteenth time and make it work for my system, and it just won't work. But anyway, I will see him post the most random things at like 2 o'clock in the morning. He will be commenting on people's stuff, and I'm like, how do you do that? I think he sleeps like 3 hours, and then he just gets up and then does nothing but literally eat music for at least the first 4 hours of his day.
He does.
Dude's crazy.
Jim is, for those of you who do not know Jim Cerrone, he's a wonderful, wonderful, talented man, and is an incredible connoisseur of music. As Jared said, he knows music inside and out. If you get a chance, he does a seminar called The Perfect Host, which he does a fabulous job with that. But he also will talk music, and he shares his passion for music and finding some songs, forgotten songs, and working things in and mixing things up and creating a dinner music playlist of tracks that are things that will just really be customized to a crowd. We've wanted to have him doing a music show, but to get on his schedule, because he is a very busy man, and he also is a family person, and he has that time. So he just but a good. If you ever get a chance to meet him, if you haven't met Jim Cerrone, and you see him somewhere, please go introduce and say that Jared and John said that you needed to do that, and he'll shake your hand and
and he'll remember your name forever. The dude never forgets a name. He always. So if you say John and Jared, he'll know exactly who you're talking about. It's ridiculous. So anyway, that's Jim Cerrone. That's his plug for the upcoming season of Cerrone's song list, where he talks about everything that he wants to talk about music related. And that would be a great show. If he had a micro show that was like 5 minutes long and he just talked about a specific song, I would religiously watch that. I would subscribe to that in a heartbeat.
Exactly. It's just to get on his schedule, his time, because he dedicates time to those areas of his life, and he's very, very protective of that, which to a point I kind of envy that, because there's times where we'll just say, oh yeah, sure, we can do that. Oh yeah, sure, we can do that. Who's that woman I'm married to? I don't remember. She's
at least she's in the other room. I'm in my office. I'm so far away from my kiddos right now.
We're about 150 feet away, so it's not quite. Yeah. Let's get to tonight's topic: Twitter.
Yes, Twitter. So if you watched the sorry, my computer's freaking out at me right now. If you watched the micro sessions, I briefly spoke about Twitter. And tonight, I'm going to dive in a little bit more. Just to kind of give you guys a heads up, there's not going to be a lot of visual. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like on a tablet. So you're going to be able to see kind of how it works. But more than that, I want to give you more detailed information of behind the scenes type stuff. So there's going to be more stats. There's going to be more comparison, pros versus cons, because ultimately at the end of my little spiel of my thoughts and opinions on Twitter, I'm going to tell you what I think, and I'm going to let you guys make your decision. This service, Twitter, is, if you want to think of it as a restaurant, in my opinion, Twitter is like the White Castle of social media. And if you've never been to a White Castle, basically they're teeny tiny sliders, and you eat them. And while you eat them, you feel pretty good about it. and then later on that night you're feeling really bad about what you did earlier. So it's this instant 180 of I shouldn't have done that. So
social media regret, remorse. Yeah. There we go. Social media remorse.
And nobody's ever experienced that, right? Nobody. You've never posted something and then immediately regretted it. No. Nobody ever does that.
Didn't put that comment that I should have, thought twice and clicked cancel. But hey.
Hey, that's another use for Google Keep. FYI, if you just really want to write something, write it in Google Keep. That way you can at least write it and get it out of your system, and then save it or delete it or whatever you want to do. But it won't post anywhere.
It stays there.
So for those that don't know what Twitter is a process. It's meant for basically influencers. So if you check out Twitter's website, they use the term influencers like crazy. But it's meant for influencers to break news and for people to speak their mind. Those are the two core things that Twitter is based and founded on. So influencers is really anybody that is in music or politics, sports, celebrities, any like everyday moments, anything like that, anything that's breaking news. That's really what Twitter is all about. It's not designed for long-term conversations. It's not designed for marketing. It's designed for that instant, hey, here's my stuff, blah, it's out there, and then you're gone and you're on to something different. The downfall with that, though, is if you do blast something out that's really dumb or that can come back and bite you, it's now out there in the World Wide Web, and they will search and they'll find for dumb stuff. Look at politics over the last 2 years, from 2016. Twitter is one of the largest influencers in how people thought politically, more than anything else. You saw news organizations using tweets. Oh, this is what Trump was saying. Oh, this is what Pence is saying. Oh, this is these are tweets that they were sending out there, and it might not even been from them and from their mouth, but it had their name on it, and it's representing them in some form or fashion. So Twitter is all about the now. It's all about right now. It's all about what's going on. I'm going to try to be positive to start this thing out. So I'm going to tell you some good stuff about Twitter, and we'll kind of go from there. So just imagine, if you will, you're sitting in a roller coaster, and we're going up that nice little hill right before the roller coaster goes, bam! That's we're about in the 40% mark right now, and then eventually we're going to hit the peak. So some of my pros, some of the things that I feel is a positive thing for Twitter. They're great for businesses. If you have some sort of a service, whether it is political, whether it's news related, whether it's music related, whatever, if you've got a business, it's a pretty good idea to at least have a Twitter account, if nothing else, to be able to respond to people. The big thing that I use Twitter for is reaching out to other businesses. Yeah. If I have an issue, if I have, I'm trying to think of an example here. Oh, here we go. So the service that I use to stream my tablet is called Visor, VYSOR, Visor, and it only works for Android. Sorry, Apple people, that's how the cookie crumbles. But I was not able to find any contact information for that company when I was having some issues not too long ago. I reached out on Twitter, found them on Twitter, I tweeted them, and they responded back in a couple hours. It was actually pretty quick. It wasn't too bad. And then once they started communicating, it was fluid. It was back and forth. So saying that, and I'm going to try to break this down into the DJ world, whether it's entertainment, wedding DJ or club DJ or bar DJ or whatever else. But in the entertainment field, if you're a single op like myself, and I'm the only one that's really operating it, the separation between personal Twitter and business Twitter account is a very, very gray area for me. I don't think that it's useful to have two different accounts, like having a business profile on Facebook and then a personal profile on Facebook. I understand the difference between that, and I think that it's legitimate to have that separation between the two. Same thing with my Instagram. Not everybody wants to see all the pictures and videos that I'm doing at weddings and lighting events and game shows that I'm producing on my personal feed, but my business people don't really care about what's going on with my kids sometimes. I know a lot of people say, hey, social media should be transparent. It should be a story of your life and what's going on. But you look at people even like Gary Vee, who is huge about all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that fun stuff. You don't see a lot of his personal private stuff with his wife, stuff with his kids on his Gary Vee or at Gary Vee, Twitter, Instagram, or anything like that. It's always business related. Yeah. So Twitter, though, since I'm not a giant fan of it, I don't feel the necessity to have two separate accounts. The other thing about another good thing about Twitter is I'm really stretching for these pros, by the way. They move slowly, which is going to be a con as well. But I want to make sure that I emphasize that it's a pro in the same field, where Facebook every 2 weeks they're throwing something new out there, which could be good. I mean, the stuff that they're introducing, people normally respond well to, and if they don't respond well to it, you give them a couple months and it's normally gone, or something's happening to it and it's no longer around. The thing with Twitter, though, is they really haven't changed what they do since they began. Yeah. They still have that 140 character limit for each tweet, which, you know what, saying that out loud, that's actually not that bad of a thing. That's a pretty cool pro on its own. When you have to force yourself to say something in 140 characters or less, especially as an entertainer or somebody that speaks professionally, to get it down to a condensed version is really, really, really good, in my opinion. So, you know, if you can get it out 140 characters, unfortunately, the flip side to the 140 is people now have the grammatical accuracy of a blind pit bull who can't write or read. Right. I mean, it's becoming more commonplace to see the letter U in place of the word YOU, or L8R for later versus LATER, because they, one, are a little bit lazy, and then two, they want to try to get more in there than what they're allowed. It's yes. almost like cheating the system. So in my opinion, if you've got 140 characters, use the English language the way that it's supposed to, but conform your sentence or your sentences that fit in there appropriately. Mm-hmm. There's an entertainer named Kevin Pollak who he loved Twitter. I think he still is on Twitter quite a bit, but he loved being able to just jump on there and see responses and communicate back and forth with people. So one of his big thing was always that 140 character limit. He loved it. Would always push him. It always make him think, okay, if I want to say something that normally would take me 220 characters and down to 140, how can I push myself to be better at getting that information out there? Mm-hmm. Unlike other networks, Twitter's influence is decentralized. It lies in its power users. So if you're not on Twitter right now, guess what, Jumpy Joe? You're probably not going to have the same amount of followers that a Kardashian has. Sorry about you. It's just not going to happen. I know Howie might be watching right now. If you're on Twitter, Howie, I will gladly follow. If you're not on Twitter, we can try to get you up to about 4.2 million, followers, but it might be kind of difficult. You're a cool dude. It might work out.
But it could be tough. We can't make any promises anymore.
I can't make any promises, but for Disc Jockey News Television, there's a guarantee of at least 7.8 million followers on Twitter in the first week, or they will double charge you.
I wanted to check and see what our followers were, and we've been at 16,000 and change for 5 years, 4 years, whatever. It's like we got to 15,000, and it's been about that number.
I just looked at my Twitter today. That's how often I check my Twitter. I'm under 1,000. I don't follow anybody. I don't do anything like that, but I'll tell you more about that here in a little bit. The only real big improvement that they've made in the last probably 2 years was February 2017. So 2 months ago, they started introducing improvements to their reporting abusive tweets in an attempt to curb harassment on the platform. And that's going to segue right into the cons. In my opinion, Twitter is the largest negative social media outlet that is out there.
Yeah.
If you feel wonderful and you're sitting there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and you think you are the man or the woman and you want to tweet something, I guarantee you somebody or a group of people are going to be jumping at the bit to tear you down as quickly as possible. I don't care who you are. You could be the president of the United States. You could be the president of the American Disc Jockey Association. You could be a stay-at-home mom that does nothing but knit and crochet and wear LuLaRoe. You're going to get tore apart on Twitter. It's going to happen. I promise you. And that is really, in all honesty, that is the biggest reason that I don't use it.
Yep.
I've got a pretty thick skin. So somebody telling me I look dumb or I have funny hair or, whatever else, it doesn't really bother me. Even if I put something out there in the internet and they can read it and then respond to it and they still respond negatively to it, I don't really care. It's the fact that I know that's going to happen and I'm not going to continuously put myself in that position. So if you want to go to Harassment Central at the corner of, Troll Avenue and Jackwagon Way, go for it. But I'm warning you right now, April 5th, 2017, it's not going to be pretty. It's just not going to be pretty at all. Outside of that is what I talked about before about its slow change rate. It's a pro, but it's also a pretty big con. It doesn't ever move. It doesn't ever do anything really jumpy. The biggest thing that it really did was it bought Periscope and tried to incorporate that into the whole live world, which Instagram and Facebook have taken that and just went gangbusters with it. They're just going crazy. Even YouTube Live, and unfortunately YouTube Live is losing its foothold against Facebook Live.
Yeah,
that's just the way that it goes. It's got Facebook's got a larger group of people that are watching, and you can't really do too much more with that. So, so the fear of change, rare improvements, not a big winner in my book. If I'm going to have a social media outlet, I want it to be adapting and changing and evolving as the community evolves. As much as people say Facebook totally copied Snapchat, guess what? They did. And it's working really well for them. They saw something happen, and you can see this and you can apply this to your business as well. If you see competitors, and I know some people say, there's no competitors, we're all on the same team. Okay, yeah, but we're competitors. If there's 4 DJs and there's a wedding in between us, we're all going to say, hey, we want to book that wedding for one reason or another. Because if you always say, no, I don't want to book that, you book it over there or you take it over there, I'm not going to be in business anymore. And you were talking earlier today about if you want to run your own business, if you want to have your own business, you got to have the drive for it. Yeah. You've got to, go all in and make it happen, Captain. So, so competitors, they're out there. It's going to happen. But if they do something and you see that it's working, if I see another DJ offering a service that I'm like, oh my gosh, why haven't I thought of that? You know what? It's the Uber for weddings or whatever it might be. Why haven't I done that? And I can take that idea and evolve it and make it better and change it as I go for it. But ultimately, at the core, you're duplicating what somebody else is doing.
Yeah.
Look at photo booths. Somebody came out with a camera, took pictures, printed up the pictures, put a little name on there, and then boom, they were able to take it out. The next person who did it said, I can do that, but I'm going to put it in a really cool case. So that way, when they get in there, they feel like they're, oh, now we're in an Instagram case, and now we're going to do this, and then the next person, oh, I'm going to do it one better. I'm going to do it so when you take the picture, it uploads to social media outlets, and they don't even have to have the picture anymore. And I'm sure that somebody else is working on something else right now where you don't even need the booth, you don't even have to have a camera. I will hand sketch everything out on a piece of paper, and it will be phenomenal. And I will charge you $500,000 for me to come out. And people will say, please take my money, all of my money, and provide me the service that only a Kardashian or possibly a Trump can afford. Anyway.
There's no tangent in there at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. So I talked a little bit about the live market with Periscope. It's failing. They bought it. They're trying to use, and Twitter's trying to get on the live bandwagon that it started, which is boggling to me that you could start something and say, hey, yeah, we're gonna eat up this service called Periscope that kind of made waves for the whole streaming live, but then we're going to fall way back behind while everybody else jumps forward.
Yeah,
that doesn't do anything for me. Something that I read, and this kind of, I'm going to be reading this. So in 2016, rumors were circulating that Twitter was going to sell itself to get out of its stagnation. It went through a really, really bad patch in early 2016 where stocks were falling. It was just really, really bad. Three major businesses, Disney, Salesforce, and Google. If you don't know what those three companies are, after this show, Google, Salesforce, and Disney, and then get out of the rock that you've been living under. They were all reportedly looking into possibly bidding on the company. When that news came out, Twitter's stock spiked. It went way up because these major companies were like, we could use something like that. And just imagine if a company like Disney or Google bought up Twitter and then said, okay, so this is quick digestible information back and forth. How can we conform this and how can we use it? Google attempted to do the Facebook thing with Google Plus. That flopped. That didn't work out well at all. However, it still works well for your SEO, FYI. But Disney and Salesforce, if they would have grabbed it, Salesforce alone, the business stuff you could have done with it is incredible. Disney, I would have loved to have seen what Disney did with Twitter. I'm going to be really honest.
That'd have been interesting.
I would be ecstatic to see some sort. I would love to have seen like a Jedi tweeting what the heck is going on in a movie. That would. I'm just excited about that now. Oh my goodness. But anyway, they all pulled out. Disney, Salesforce, Google, they all pulled out. They said, no, never mind, which should be another big red flag of three of the biggest companies in the world, like underneath Microsoft and Apple and I think maybe Tesla might be up there as far as like profit range. When those three companies pulled out, the stock dropped, like plummeted down, just completely, the bottom went out, everything was gone. So saying that, now we're in 2017, that took up most of all of 2016. So Twitter started down here. They said Disney, Salesforce, and Google were thinking about buying. People were like, oh my gosh, yes, this is going to be amazing. And then all the companies said, nope, never mind. And then it just went down. And 2017, they're back down here at the beginning. And they really haven't shown any major growth like they should before. They're just treading water for the most part. So pros versus cons, those are my pros versus cons. I'm going to give you a little bit more background on Twitter. Something that I thought was cool is in November 2016, Twitter gave users the ability to filter out keywords. Now, it might not seem like a big thing, but you could filter out a username, you could filter out a keyword, you could filter out a phrase, a hashtag, and it won't show up in your thread. And if you lived through the, political apocalypse that happened over the last 2 years, and you're on Twitter and you were following the news sources, I guarantee you that service would have been phenomenal if you just wanted to X-nay Trump or X-nay Kardashian or X-nay, anything that you want to X-nay and it won't show up in your feed. That was their big ploy to say, hey, we're not that negative of a company. We want you to be honest and we want you to say whatever you want to say. But if you don't want to hear about X, Y, and Z things, then you can filter them out and they won't show up in your feed. So that was their one kind of Hail Mary of don't leave us, people, stay with us. Some people that might enjoy Twitter primarily are news junkies.
Yep.
If you are the type of person that you wake up and you put on CNN or Headline News, is Headline News still around?
I was just going to say, that's kind of dating yourself there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I remember waking up when I was in like 6th grade and my dad would be watching Headline News and I would sit there and I would eat cereal or oatmeal or whatnot. I don't remember any of the news, but I'm like, this My dad's
was
watching
there.
it, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not going to be able to watch anything that I really want to watch.
Yeah,
So
can't turn
sorry,
cartoons.
Voltron, you're going to have to wait for another day. But if you enjoy that, if you like knowing what is going on instantly, this is the service for you. That's not me. And that's honestly not a lot of other people.
Yeah, the number is declining tremendously.
I have noticed. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I've noticed, and maybe this is where you were headed to, is the ones that are using it are the news or someone who's going to put it on our local TV stations. They use it heavily to follow and get information and disseminate information. But
yep,
that's about it.
What I'm noticing more and more and more is online news sources. So somebody who has a blog that's got a pretty good reputation or whatnot, they will use Twitter as their confirmation source. You know, this person tweeted at this time such and such information, and it's the most on top information that you can get. There is no real journalism in it other than, you know, at CNN tweeted there was a issue at this place at this time and this thing happened, and then these other people are just trying to get the information out as quickly as they can to bring people to their site. So there's a link, a clickbait link that you can click through, bring them to your site so they can make their money. And they're using Twitter as their information source. But if you're a news junkie and you want to follow reputable services, and for the most part, I really don't follow any news service for the most part. I really don't. I wait till all the information's out there, and then I make my judgment. So something might happen, but it's going to be a few days before I'm like, yeah, I'm going to chime in on this. It's going to be a little ways. If you have to know what's going on when it happens, Twitter's for you. If you can wait for more than 12 minutes, don't worry about it. Twitter's not going to be your cup of tea.
It'll show up everywhere else.
Yes, and you'll have a lot more information than really what you need to make your judgment call.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. You will love Twitter if you want to complain to businesses nonstop. I said it before, that was kind of one of my pros, was I like to be able to reach out to businesses. It's all about how you approach and how you start that conversation. If you tweet somebody and say, hey, I was just in your restaurant, or I was just in your business, and this person said X, Y, and Z type of things. I want a free meal, and I want a car, and I want gas for a year, and all these other things. That's really not maybe the best way and best approach. But if you reach out to them and say, hey, I was just here, had some issues. Here's a picture of I remember I tweeted Subway. I took a picture and I tweeted it to Subway and said, so I guess this is what extra lettuce means. And it probably would have been advantageous for me to actually pull this tweet up to show you guys. But I took a picture of the sandwich, and it was like, I always thought I like extra lettuce.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get transparent with you guys for a while. I'm gonna be honest.
Gonna get real.
It's real time. It's real talk, Jared Lee. That's another show. That's at the 11 o'clock hour. I like a lot of lettuce on my sandwich, and when I opened my sandwich, there was literally probably 13 pieces of lettuce, the shredded lettuce. I mean, there was nothing on there. So I took a picture, tweeted it, said, hey, Subway, is this what it means by extra lettuce? You know, and in like an hour, I got a DM back saying, hey, can you give us information about what's going on? And by the next day, it was all resolved. I had my money back. They actually gave me an extra gift card. They wanted to fix the service. And I even retweeted them and said, hey, thanks for fixing this. I appreciate you guys being proactive, blah, 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 blah. So I didn't just leave it open-ended. But if you really enjoy just ripping into businesses and being a horrible person, and, you know, go for it. Twitter is your social media site. Twitter on the executive end has always had a lot of issues, but I did find this tweet from Casey Newton back in January of 2016. His tweet said, Twitter's head of product continues to have the life expectancy of a defense against the dark arts teacher at Hogwarts. Now, if you don't know anything about Harry Potter, the defense against the dark arts teacher changes every movie, because it's normally they become either a bad person, or they get killed off, or they go away, or something like that. But it kind of sums up what's going on with their behind the scenes, because they can't keep anybody around. They're always moving out. They're always getting rid of people. They're firing them, or they're leaving, or whatever else. So the flip side of the negative stuff is you will rarely find a phenomenal Twitter feed. However, if you follow Wendy's, the fast food restaurant Wendy's, they have a phenomenal PR person and social media person. I don't know who the company is that does their tweets, but it is, you could just Google, you can do a quick search for Wendy's tweets. And you know what, I'm going to see if I can find it. They have got some of the best responses and tweets that I have seen in a long time.
I think they are one company that has proven you can sell crappy cheeseburgers via Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I know some people who were like, gosh, I haven't gone to Wendy's. And they did. After, was it Wendy's and, oh, yes, it was a Wendy's and McDonald's exchange. And I think that's probably the one you're looking up if you guys haven't seen that one. It was a cute little comeback on that one.
They've done a few. Let's see here. I'm going to make sure that I quote this because I don't want to.
Yeah, you've got to read it exactly as Wendy's wrote it because it was a little bit of a thinker the first time. You're like, okay, wait a second. Now, how did they mean that?
Yeah. So McDonald's, this was, let's see,
Last
this just
week.
happened maybe, 5 days ago. This is McDonald's tweet. This is what McDonald's wrote. Oh, wait, it's got Wendy's, but I want to find McDonald's. It's not giving me McDonald's. All right, I have to find this because if I don't find this.
Yeah, because it was a build-off. It was a build-off from McDonald's statement that talked about that they're going to be introducing their fresh meat in one of their sandwiches in some of their restaurants. The idea was, so it wasn't all of their sandwiches, and it even wasn't in all of their restaurants that they were going to be initial. So that kind of set the stage for what Wendy's came back with.
Yep. And oh my gosh, it's giving me Wendy's like all day long, but it's not giving me McDonald's.
The original one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I wonder if they deleted it.
Might have.
That would have been hilarious. I mean, I'm looking at. Oh, okay. Here we go. So McDonald's said this. Today, we've announced that by mid-2018, all quarter pounder burgers at the majority of our restaurants will be cooked with fresh beef. I'm going to read that one more time so that way you can digest it, unlike what you can do with most fast food. Today, this is from McDonald's. Today, we've announced that by mid-2018, all quarter pound burgers at the majority of our restaurants will be cooked with fresh beef. That's what McDonald's said. This is what Wendy's responded with. Hey, McDonald's. So you'll still use frozen beef in most of your burgers in all of your restaurants? Asking for a friend. That one, like those two tweets back and forth, the entire internet was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I mean, and it's not just that time. Like it's they don't hit every tweet, but they will respond to some of the most left field stuff. And you know, another restaurant that does a pretty good job is Taco Bell. Taco Bell will actually go back and forth with you if it's just kind of, you know, off the wall type stuff. Let's see. Oh, here's one. So somebody started a hashtag called #ruin a 90s song. So basically, when you have a hashtag like this, it's a competition. You're trying to figure out one. And his response was breakfast at Wendy's. So breakfast at Tiffany's, ruin a 90s song, breakfast at Wendy's. Wendy's responded directly to him saying, you were supposed to ruin the song. So simple stuff like that, like you just made the song better. I don't know what your big deal is about that. Let's see here. Another person said, hey, at Wendy's, if you don't roast me, I'm going to go to McDonald's. And Wendy's responded with, you are a Twitter egg, and this is your only tweet. There is literally zero information to roast you about. Like they actually dug into their profile to find out information, and there was nothing there. Here's another one from at Mr. Anderson 36. He simply says, at Wendy's, where's the beef? Wendy's response, in our cheeseburgers and on our timeline. I mean, just it's simple stuff that people are just jumping on and loving it. So, oh, this one's pretty good. Hey, at Wendy's, my friends like Wendy's, but I don't. What do I tell them? Wendy's response: apologize for being wrong. It's just, I mean, if you want to sign up for Twitter and just follow Wendy's, I mean, you really can't go wrong with that.
How frequently is Wendy's? Are you looking at their Twitter feed? How often are they tweeting?
Let's see here. They just retweeted. It looks about once a day.
Okay.
Looks like maybe over the weekend a little bit more, which makes sense. More people are off work, so your weekend traffic is going to be higher to begin with. But yeah, about at least once a day. And a lot of it, I'm going to be really honest with you, a lot of it, especially I'm looking back through March 23rd, March 22nd, a lot of it is retweets from famous people and with mentions of Wendy's and whatnot. But let's see here. Other than that, there's still, I mean, the key thing to know about Twitter, in addition, is when they have those conversations back and forth, like when they're, this person says, this is at YSYS0204. He says, going to In-N-Out, what should I get, Wendy's? Wendy's responds, out. That's it. But when they respond, it only goes to them. So it doesn't show up on the timeline, which is actually kind of a marketing genius ploy because they're not trying to get more followers. So if you go to their timeline, you're not going to see a lot of this stuff. You really have to follow them and see who they interact with and who they communicate back and forth with. That's where the real good stuff comes in. But their wall, for the most part, or their dashboard doesn't have too much stuff on there. But Wendy's is a good one. Taco Bell is another good one that I'd recommend everybody follow at some point in time. So a few stats for you because everybody loves stats. 86% of people on Twitter use it to get the news, and that's really all that they use. 75% of them checking the site, they do that daily. So out of everybody that's on Twitter, you're looking at more than 3/4 are focused purely on the news. That's why I kind of said, hey, if you're a news junkie, this is the place for you. I threw out a poll on a Facebook group called Social Media Masters or something like that. I'm part of a social media group. And I just said, hey, I'm getting ready to do a show about Twitter. Can I get your bias or unbiased opinion on what you think is the best social media outlet for interaction and engagement when you want to have stuff go back and forth? And I threw out Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. Those were the 4 that I threw out. Facebook got 62 votes. Instagram, 21 votes. Twitter, 7. Snapchat got nothing. So, I mean, out of those, just shy of 100 people, Facebook is the way to go. Somebody made a comment about Twitter's for the news junkies or the news at heart. Facebook and Instagram is for the marketing. So if you're wanting to get, great news out about your company, hit Twitter up. But guess what? You're going to have to do it like once a day or sometimes twice a day. And it's going to have to be short stuff that's really, really quick. Most of what we do is very visual. We want to show a picture. We want to show a video of people dancing or lights or a monogram or a photo booth or anything that's out there. And that doesn't work on Twitter. It's not a visual medium. It's not great for that. However, for text-driven and business-to-business driven type communication back and forth, Twitter's the way to do it. I have a Twitter account. I don't ever use it. You can follow me. I probably won't ever do anything on it, but it's there because it's a major player, and I want to make sure at least I have some sort of a foothold on it. Let's see. I already hit the whole stance. Ultimately, do I think Twitter's going to be around in like 2018, 2019? I think it's going to be around. I think, though, what's going to happen, and you're already starting to see it happen with The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. He used to really push Twitter. Yep. He's starting to push Facebook more now. So a lot of his old hashtag interactive games that he would do, he's now doing Facebook things back and forth. And I'm seeing more of the Facebook than with the Twitter.
Right.
He also uses stories. His social media team uses stories a lot. So through Snapchat and even now through Facebook, they're always doing live stuff, and they're doing Facebook Live like crazy. They're always on Facebook Live showing behind the scenes stuff. So is it going to be around in 2018? Yeah, I think it's still going to be here. Is it going to be relevant? I think it's going to be on its very quick decline. My theory is if they stay true to their nature, which is they don't really change or update, and they're going to have to do something major to reinvent themselves as who they are and what they do. If they don't make some major changes, they're not going to be around in 2019.
Yeah.
I think what's going to happen over the next 12 months is more and more people are going to start gravitating towards that live video, and it's no longer going to be that digestible White Castle of information. They're going to, oh, hey, something's going on, and they're live streaming this. Okay, I'm stopping what I'm doing, and I'm going to watch this, and I'm going to figure out what's going on, versus, oh, here's this quick tweet about something that's happening, and then 50,000 other tweets that have that same exact thing. Nope, it's going to be fine-tuned into what is happening right here, right now.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll show you what Twitter looks like on the mobile platform. There's nothing special. I'm going to be really honest with you right now about it. But I'll show you anyways, because I'm a cool guy like that. Okay, so your little Twitter app right there. I've already signed in. You're going to open that up, and there's nothing beautiful about it at all. There's literally nothing beautiful about it. It has 4 major points up top. You have your home, which is what it's on right now, right there. You have this little lightning bolt. See if I can jump over there. There we go. These are moments. These are big things. And of course, hey, yeah, Kendall Jenner. Nobody really cares. You have your notifications when people like different things that you do back and forth, people that follow you, all kinds of stuff. As you can see, there's my visor conversations back and forth right there, tweeting back and forth. And then your direct messages. So when you follow somebody, after they follow you back, then you can actually have a private conversation. Same thing you can do in Instagram, same thing you can do in Facebook. Again, if you can get a business to follow you, then you can do it like this. There are some good businesses. For my website, I use a service called Squarespace, and they have a really good active Twitter help desk. So when I have issues with my website, I can just jump on here and message them and find out what the heck is going on. So that's super handy, but that's really the only thing that's handy about it. I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but I'm leaning towards one direction as far as my preference of Twitter.
There's a reason why Jimmy put the graphic together that he did.
You know what I wish he would have done? I wish he would have put me in like an Elmer Fudd costume with
the
a
hunting
gun and like a little smoke and then the bird just down there. I think we would probably had like trademark issues with that or something.
Yeah, Jimmy would have had fun.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. So in the upper left-hand corner up here, if you click that, that opens up your menu. And of course, it's going to be different on iOS versus on Android. But you pretty much have that same 5 choices: profile, highlights, my moments, and connect. Connect, when you click that, you're able to search for people. You can search by username. You can search by email address that they've used. Connect with them and go from there. One element that I do like, and if I would have used Twitter more earlier, I probably would have a better understanding of it, is their lists. If you don't know what lists are, it basically filters down what you want to see at a specific time. So when you click lists, as an example, these are the lists that I have, and you can make them either private or public. Let's see. I have several indie groups, like indie businesses, indie news, indie wedding. So people that I follow that are in the Indianapolis market that are in the wedding industry, I put them in this indie wedding list. And then when I click on it, I can just look at those Twitter accounts.
Right.
I don't have to be bogged down by everything else. Same thing for businesses. These are just business, like Yelp is on there. An organization called Indie's Child is on there. Indie Hinge Grill, all kinds of other things. So I can break it down, and then if I want to share it, I can make it non-private, and then other people, like John, if you were on Twitter and I was like, dude, you got to check out my DJ buddies board.
Yeah.
You could jump in, you could see it and be like, oh, I don't know any of these guys. I'm going to follow these guys to get more information about X, Y, and Z type stuff. Or if I come across a random Twitter profile that I'm like, yeah, no, this is actually good. This is good information and news to have, then I could throw it in there. The only thing that I wish it could do, and to my knowledge, it can't as of right now, is I wish that it could be my default homepage. I wish that I could assign one of my lists to be, hey, every time that I open up Twitter, I want it to default go to my friends and family list. So that way, as soon as I open it, that's the first thing that I'm looking at. Unfortunately, with Twitter's algorithm, which they updated, I want to say third quarter of 2016 or second quarter, they changed the algorithm and it shows what they think you're going to enjoy more. And I'm like, oh yeah, you of course know what I want to see when I want to see it. So this is just the most random stuff in here. But yeah, food art. So there you go.
Yep.
Or Anchorman. Yay. This is the opposite of how I feel about Twitter. What you're seeing right now is the polar opposite of what I think about Twitter. Yeah.
That's nice.
There you go. So
you have a visual.
There you go. That's exactly how hey guys, you want to use Twitter? Yeah. No, not at all. So just because it's not for me doesn't mean that it's not for you. All that it means is, my tastes and my styles and what I enjoy reading and looking at is different than you guys. Mm-hmm. I enjoy RSS feeds. I enjoy having a service that pulls information from websites, reputable websites that I can glance through and look over and then decide if I want to read more about it. So I use services like Pocket, and I use services. If I'm still sharing or not, I probably am.
No, you're not. You're not. You were like we're full screen. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
I'm just going through here, and because I wanted to. There's a couple of things that I use Twitter for that because I actually have been using it fairly heavily over the years.
Oh, really?
And
do you like it?
I only use it because it can connect in some ways to other social media accounts better than some of the other directional ways. For a period of time, you could feed from Facebook to Twitter, from your Facebook business page to Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
And then that all of a sudden wasn't working for a period of time. Then you could hook up from Twitter to Facebook, so you could go buffer to here Zapier, going from Zapier to, and you can bounce content around a little bit with that. Mm-hmm. And there's some login capabilities with Twitter that I use on some websites because I would prefer them not to have access through the Facebook mechanism. So I use it in those two realms. But overall, back when we first started on Twitter, there was an app out there, Tweet Adder. I don't know if you ever heard of Tweet Adder. But no. Tweet Adder was a basically an underground, nasty little app, whatever you want to refer to. Twitter would have referred to it. And what you could do is you could
That's a pretty good reference right there. If it's not a really good app to have,
it was a great app to have, but Twitter it wouldn't want it because what it would do is you could go set it and say, hey, I want you to go. The app would you could assign it like Pioneer DJ. You could go and say, I want the app to go and see all of the people who are following Pioneer DJ, and I want you to go add them on my feed. And then you'll get a lot of people when you add them, they'll come back and they will do a reciprocal ad. And it's, thanks for the ad, and then they'll do that. Then you had Tweet Adder set, so then after four or 5 days, it would then unadd them. So you wouldn't have this list of tens of thousands. So we ran it for about a week back, and this is when we went from 2,000 to 4,000 just to see what it would do. And it was the darndest thing because I used it a little bit, and I had a friend who used it on one of his websites or his Twitter feed, and he ended up going to like 75,000 within no time with virtually no posts whatsoever. It was just Tweet Adder because it would do like one every 4 seconds. It would add one, and then eventually you'd have it adding here and then subtracting here, so you had this consistent. But if it was someone who followed you, you could choose to keep them. If they didn't follow you, they were automatically tossed.
Wow.
Tweet Adder, but yeah, Twitter finally blocked that.
Oh yeah. And if you go to tweetadder.com, It's very vocal. Tweet Adder 4.0 software is currently no longer available nor supported due to an API cancellation by Twitter. Which basically means Twitter found out what they were doing and said, no, that's not happening. However, you can check out their new sister site, Follow Adder. If you're interested in an automated Instagram bot to schedule your posts from your desktop. Same strong and in-depth searches as Tweet Adder. Grow your real Instagram follower base and then unfollow them quickly.
Exactly, to keep your percentages down.
Wow. Well, way to go, man. Way to work the system in your favor.
That was an early. And we get to the point where with Twitter is that reciprocal follow thing. So when I go through and when I have people who follow, I followed them back. Because I don't use it, initially I was like, oh, I don't want to be following all these people, but it's got to the point where I just do the reciprocal. That's why you'll see we're about 16,000 both ways. But I haven't done the follow back. I don't think I've logged in and done that probably in about 6 to 8 months.
Well, good for you, man. Be organic. Grow those followers organically.
I tried, but now as you see, I haven't followed.
Or just give up on Twitter.
It's just now using it as a pass through.
That's okay. I have not looked at the chat room at all. I don't know if there's anybody watching or if they zoned out as soon as they knew that we were talking about Twitter.
Just thinking. I think we're good. I think they were just chatting back and forth. So,
I wanted to try to wrap up a little early.
Yeah.
Can I show you guys the secret that I wanted to show you last week?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yep.
I mean, if they don't want to see it, that's okay.
They can close their eyes.
Boom. You can shut your monitor off right now. That's what
you've been warned. This is the answers to who is Ray's parents.
Man, I wish I would have known you were going to say that. I would have pulled up like a giant picture of like Chewbacca and who is that? That's Chewbacca and Jar Jar Binks. It's a weird thing they adopted. Anyway, it's a long story.
It was a really drunken weekend.
Yeah. Miss, I love your hair. Okay, so here is this thing that I've been using. Okay, here's what I've been doing. I get a lot of emails and I get a lot of questions about meeting, either via a Google Hangout, a Skype, virtual meeting, or meeting in person. And over the last several months, I've noticed that getting people to just give me a freaking date and time is really, really difficult because you email back and forth and you say, hey, does Wednesday the 4th work for you? And then you wait for a day. Hey, yeah, that date works well. What time can you do? And then I get back to them and then another day goes by.
Yeah.
How about 6 o'clock? And you go back and forth. And what should take 5 seconds takes sometimes 3 or 4 days.
Yes.
So, and I know that there are services that do this. I want to be very forward with you, but I love Google, and I want to show you my workaround in how I use Google Calendars to help me with this process. So over here on the left-hand side, and you should be able to see my mouse, I'm hoping.
Yep. We're on my calendars there.
Perfect. I created a calendar called Available Meeting Time Slots for Jared Wade Entertainment. And how you go about doing that is under My Calendars. You create a new calendar, you give it the name that you want, and then you create it. It's as simple as that. That's all you have to do.
Yep.
And then it will show up. Come on. There it is. Name that you want calendar right there. We're going to use this calendar as an example. My available meetings, what I've done is I have created time slots.
Okay.
That allow me to put down exactly what that calendar says, available time slot, Jared Wayne Entertainment. So what I do is I create a normally an hour-long time slot. So let's say 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning, available time slot, and then the text that I want to put in there. So available time slot, Jared Wayne Entertainment. So. And then I go to edit event, and I do two changes. One, anytime that I put something in my calendar, I always change the time zone to where I'm at. Even if it's set as a default, I always change it just so there's no concerns. And then down at the bottom where it says show me as, I put available. So if you guys can see that.
Yep.
It defaults to busy, but I'm going to change it to available and then click save. Now, back over here under my calendars, little drop down, when you go down to share this calendar, it will pull it up. And you go to calendar details, and it will give you a URL link. I pulled it from here. There's an HTTP calendar, blah, 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 all the way through to, where did I have this before?
You probably have to copy and paste the code, and then so you can copy just part of it.
Well, it should.
I know on my Mac I've got to do that because it'll copy everything. It's like, I don't want everything. I just want I don't want the...
There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay, so when you get into your calendar details, you go down to calendar address and then HTML.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You click on that, and then there's a URL link right here. You just copy that whole thing, or you could right click, copy link address, and then I'll show you in an incognito window. So incognito, again, I'm not signed into anything Google or social media or whatnot. Post that link, hit enter, and then what it does is it shows only those time slots that are available. So when I have somebody that says, hey, when are you available next week? What I've done is in my Gmail, anytime that I send an email, there is a thing right here that says meetings. Click here to view available time meetings. So when they click it, it takes them to this link right here.
Sure.
It opens up in a web browser, and then they're able to see and say, okay, well, if he's available the 18th and the 20th, the 18th is going to be better, and we can make it by 4. And then they just write me back. They write me back as soon as they take a look at it, and they say, hey, the 18th at 4 o'clock, can you meet? And I say yes, and I go back into my calendar. I add, or let's say this is the 6th. I can add my new calendar that I want to have, and then delete that other one. So if they wanted to meet here, I would put in their new calendar that they want to meet. So because I use Google Calendar for invites and for all my meetings, so that way they have details about where my office is and or where we're going to be meeting, and then I can delete this one, so it will not show up on that link anytime forward. So it's always being updated. Is there other services that might be a little bit smoother? Yes. Are they as ingrained in Google as this is? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I like being able to. Google just released another thing that you can do, which is when you can do appointment slots, and it sets it up a little bit differently. The thing that I don't like about appointment slots is they have to sign in with their Google account in order to view it, and I don't want that. I want them to be able to look at it without having to sign into anything and then run with it. But I'm going to tell you this. I started using this 2 weeks ago, and I've booked more meetings quicker than I've ever in the past, especially when they're like, hey, we'd like to meet, or at the tail end of some of my emails now, I just say, hey, if you'd like to meet, take a peek down below. You'll see a link for my meeting time slots. Take a look. Let me know which date and time works best for you, and then I'll reserve that time for you and your dad, your mom, or whoever else there might be.
Yeah.
And we'll have a chit chat. So that's my workaround freebie type of a thing that you guys can use. So I expect when Howie gets his 7.8 million followers on Twitter that he will give me a shout out and say, hey, you should follow Jared's Twitter. He doesn't do anything on it ever, but he's a pretty cool guy. So
go to his Twitter and watch that conversation from 2016.
Yeah,
it's still there.
It's phenomenal. That one thing that he said back in 2008 on his first. I wonder what my first tweet was. I don't even know if you can look that up.
Is this thing on? Click.
Tunk. I've got 2,100 tweets.
Well, see, you're doing.
Well, but I use if this then that, and when it like what you were talking about before, when it goes one place, it automatically goes to simple. So.
Yeah, I bet if I did just native tweets that are things that I bet it's less than 50 that are just things that I went and I physically did from my phone to Twitter, and that would have been something at a show.
Yep, I think my only one was that first one of that. Hey, Twitter, I'm here. So what do we do now? Yeah. Get on Facebook? Oh, okay. Twitter.
That's about the way it was.
Oh well.
Good.
There you go.
Great stuff. Next week, Jared, let's talk about Facebook Live, because I don't know if you got to play with it this past week, but I finally got the ability to go Facebook Live from my desktop on the browser.
From a laptop or from a desktop?
Desktop, my iMac.
Your iMac's considered a laptop.
Oh, well, no, I did not know that. So we'll talk. Let's talk about, because people have been asking a little bit about Facebook Live and such.
Sure.
And specifically, how do they do that 2-person thing in different areas. So if you guys are going to watch next week, then we'll dig into that. Plan to be here next Wednesday night. Thank you guys, though, for watching, being with us, hanging out, and we will be back again next Wednesday at 10 o'clock Eastern and answer more of those social media questions. Jared, thanks much for being on tonight.
Thanks, John.
Good night, everyone.